Well, first I want to thank Jason and Dean and the SAC team and everybody for being here today. It's been an amazing day of inspiration and learning for all of us. I'm going to start with a question. Have you ever been consumed with worry that stops you in your tracks? Or have you had a plethora of thoughts rush into your head, causing you to make hasty decisions? Or are you filled with fear? Or a fear of failure? All of those and more consume anxiety, and anxiety is all too common. I have anxiety, and I've had anxiety for the past 33 years. My anxiety came to fruition on a cold winter day in 1990. I was 7 years old, and I had been given a check for $25 to give to my classroom teacher for our holiday fundraiser. Hand in the check, receive the ornament, a very simple transaction. $25 was no small change in my family, and so I was entrusted with this, and I was like, I'm going to do well. I walked down the slushy streets. It was Winnipeg, so it was cold. The cold wind's whipping my face. I arrive at school. I drop off my book bag, hand in my homework. Oh no, no check. In that moment, panic took over me. I immediately rushed back to my book bag. I go and I search, trying to find this check, and I start crying. I'm like, where's my check? Where's the check? I go to my teacher, Mrs. Strick. I said, Mrs. Strick, I can't find my check. She says, Michael, and puts her hand right here on my shoulder. She says, Michael, it's okay, ask the class. That did not go over very well because it's grade 2, it's before the school bell rings, it's chaos in the class, and I'm having a meltdown. Right before the late bell rang, another student, Vincent, walked in from the coat room with my check in hand. And I remember going to Vincent, I said, thank you so much, Vincent, thank you so much for this. I handed it in to my teacher, got my ornament. I thought, well, all well that ends well. I'm not stupid, I'm not an idiot, it's okay. But I was wrong. On that day, my anxiety monster took root. So let's think for a moment, what do you think an anxiety monster is? For those of us with anxiety, does it have a face? Does it have a name? Does it have a shape, size? A voice? Mine definitely has a voice. I went through a lot of transitions. I started off as a very, book smart, very sensitive, and very non-athletic fellow in school, and I was ridiculed by my peers for that. I received a lot of mocking, a lot of taunting, and a lot of bullying, and physical assault became my normal at school. With that, my anxiety monster fed into those belief systems, and they became my truths. My anxiety grew stronger and more powerful, and soon became an all-consuming, all-seeing, all-knowing beast in my mind. It took many years for that shattered child and fractured adult to go on the path toward healing, but more on that later. I want to share a couple of stats with all of you about anxiety and how prevalent it is in our society. 1 in every 8 people, according to the World Health Organization, live with an anxiety disorder. And in 2019, 301 million people were living with anxiety disorders, with 58 million of those being children and adolescents. So many people. And following the COVID-19 pandemic, within 1 year, there was a 25% increase globally in anxiety and depression. So much can be done to help. For myself, it was years of therapy and medication and self-help and reflection and a growing loving support system that helped move the needle toward the positive end for my own mental health. But I ask you all a question today. With that, do you think I was able to vanquish my anxiety monster? Turns out, we formed an alliance instead of an adversarial relationship. It took many years, but I want to share with all of you today 3 ways that you can build an alliance with your anxiety monster. The first one is embracing your anxiety monster's 6th sense. And that does not mean that I see ghosts on a regular basis or that I'm psychic in some way. This is a study done by PSL Research University in France, where they showed different pictures of different emotions to different participants. And those who were in a higher anxiety category were processing these different ambiguous stimuli using their motor cortex, which causes action, fight or flight. I didn't know about sixth sense or hyper-awareness, but it came into my world when I was 14 years old. I'd been bullied consistently through elementary school into junior high. Grade 9 was my worst year yet. That year, I had two bullies who I'm going to name here, Jason and Shane. Every time I would see Jason and Shane in the halls, I would tense up. My throat would tighten. I would turn really red. I would be so afraid of what was going to happen that day. I would look at the clock in my class in the homeroom, and as soon as I saw that clock heading toward 9 a.m., when that 9 a.m. bell was going to ring, my stomach would tighten in knots, knowing my day of torment was about to begin. It started with taunts and threats. One day it escalated. I was sitting in the front of the class, and my grade 9 English teacher decided to leave the room for the day, for a bit. Jason snuck up behind me very quietly, very stealthily, very coldly. And he slugged me in the back of the head with all his force. My head flung forward, bounced back, and I immediately got dizzy. I got up. I said, I have to leave. Fight or flight kicked in, and I realized I had to get out of there. I would not go back into that classroom. The following day, I was put into a different grade 9 section, and though I was ignored by my peers there, I was safe. I was safe. A couple months later, I met another classmate in the class. Her name was Julie. And Julie was really cool. She loved a lot of similar things I did. We got along really well. And Julie had her own circle of friends, but we sat together. We hung out a bit at lunch. And I thought, I'm going to ask Julie to grade 9 prom. It's May. Why not? I'll ask her. Now, my gut was telling me, oh, you probably don't want to do that, Michael. You are on the bottom of the social hierarchy. You're not going to get a date with Julie. She's not going to want to be around you. But I was like, oh, no. I'm going to give this a go. So on that Friday, I asked Julie to prom. Now, Julie said, Michael, I'll think about it. That's fine. I went home feeling 10 feet tall. I thought, you know what? I've opened up to somebody. I've been vulnerable. This is really cool. I came in Monday morning, and my brief moment of happiness turned to sorrow and shock like that. Julie had told her friends, who told their friends, and they proceeded to mock me, laugh, point, and throw insults out. I crumpled against the wall. I started to tear up. I couldn't believe it that I'd opened up to somebody, and they just threw me asunder. I decided at that point, I'm not going to open up to anybody again. Why bother? I'm just going to get thrown in the pit if I even think of trying to open up to somebody. I hit my all-time low. And that's really where I think my hyper-awareness kicked in. I thought anyone I try to open up to again is just going to hurt me. Why do I want to bother? But then I realized with time, again, it took time. I realized that hyper-awareness, being that worried about the other shoe dropping, was just going to hold me back. It wasn't going to help. So I put it through a different lens. I put it through a lens, rather than seeing that as a curse, I put it through the lens of a gift. That having that hyper-awareness, that really, I could have a deeper perception of other people. And that can help me to know who's there to help, who's there to hinder, who's there to be an asset that I can work with, who's going to hurt me. I could work all that out because I've been given that gift from my anxiety monster. And those with anxiety, we can all do it together. We can build that wonderful ability of embracing our sixth sense. Now, the second way I built an alliance with my anxiety monster was building up its Achilles heel, your self-esteem. Now, Dr. Joe Rubino says that a staggering 85% of Americans have struggled with self-esteem. 85%, that is absolutely gargantuan statistic. And Dr. Will Meek says those with generalized anxiety disorder often have low self-esteem. No surprise there. There is a struggle with your anxiety and your self-esteem. After my arduous grade 9 year, I thought, I'm going to drop out of school and run away. I have no point in sticking around. I went into grade 10 and grade 11. I met a wonderful teacher, Mr. P. He came into my life, math and science, and he helped renew my love of academia. I got something of sense of worth, at least from that. And I went on to graduate high school, got my Bachelor of Science, went and got my Bachelor of Education because I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to help all these children out there who are suffering, struggling, so that they can feel empowered and strong, and they can feel safe to express who they want to be and all that they can be. However, at 26, I was in the classroom, Cupid's arrow had struck, and I was about to begin a year like no other. Catherine Chan of Very Well Mind and the author of 60 Feelings to Feel says the 5 most stressful life events one can face are death of a loved one, divorce, illness, job loss, moving. Everybody in this room and those who are watching have faced either 0 or up to all 5 events. You might have had them in over a long stretch of time or in very short succession. I experienced 4 of those 5 major life shifts over a 9-month period in 2010. I did not have a divorce during that time. I did marry my sweetheart, also named Mike, so we got a Mike and Mike. And it was the most joyous day of my life, the happiest day of my life, and it really brought such calm. That wonderful moment, which I will always cherish, was still offset by so many transitions and all these changes that were happening. So it was like a hurricane that still tore through my self-esteem, even though I was thrilled in that moment. When I left the classroom and I moved to Toronto, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm a failed teacher. My anxiety monster was quick to point that out. And my anxiety monster's ambition went into full gear, because when you're anxious, you can often be very ambitious because you really want to strive to be all you can be. I pushed forward, not giving myself time to properly go through those losses and transitions. And I opened my own tutoring company. I loved working with children. I wanted to see them do well. However, I did not have business acumen. You say you dive into a nice ocean of entrepreneurship. It was a murky swamp when I started because I didn't know what I was doing as an entrepreneur. So yes, I gained clients. Yes, I was able to make some sales. But I'm telling you, I undervalued myself and I underappreciated myself because I didn't give myself the proper time to give myself the grace to learn and to heal and to ask for help. I would come home at night. My depression was just so strong. I just wanted to go to bed. And in the mornings, I woke up. I just didn't want to do anything. I was so just down in the dumps. And I knew I had to ask for help. And it was scary to do that because when you have ambition and you have negative self-talk feeding into that, it really is a very toxic relationship. I got the help of a therapist and a business coach and a growing support of really positive, loving people in my life that really made a difference in moving the self-esteem in a better direction. And I want to share with all of you something that I do now that has really helped to recenter being ambitious, but at the same time having positive self-talk to move forward the best way you can be. I take gratitude walks every day, 20 minutes. And what I do during those 20 minutes is I think of what is one thing I will do well today. And I really affirm I will do one thing well today. And what's one positive impact that I want to make today? Because let's go out there and make a positive difference. We all can do it, big or small. And finally, why do I matter today? And you pass that on to all of you today. You all matter. Think about when you're doing this, why do you matter? Whether you're taking a gratitude walk or you're taking a few minutes to breathe in and out, think about why you matter, because everybody here has a purpose, has intent, has a reason for being here today. And enjoy and celebrate that. Now, my third point of building an alliance with my anxiety monster is helping my anxiety monster to learn when to let go. I had worked with my anxiety monster on my ambition and having that positive mindset. I had worked with the sixth sense and really developing good perception of people and abilities. Well, flash forward to 2019, I'm 36 years old. I Am Success Tutoring had grown to a 6-figure-a-year tutoring business, had a great team of tutors and clients, and we were getting nominated for awards, and it was an exciting time on the outside. On the inside, there was a feeling of, you got to do great, you got to keep going, you can't screw this up, you finally have made something, don't screw it up, keep going. Perfectionism and anxiety, according to UPMC Western Behavioral Health and a few other studies, they are closely linked, and I am a perfectionist through and through, working on it. And I kept going and kept pushing myself, and I was neglecting so many other parts of my life in order to be somebody, because I had to be somebody to make sure that everything would go the way it should. That watershed moment, though, of change came in March 2019. I went home for the birth of my second niece, Phoebe. I was holding Phoebe in my arms, and when I did that, all stress ebbed. Holding this beautiful baby and seeing this new life, I knew it's okay. It's okay. You can let go. You've given all you can give for this project. It's enough. You can let go. My anxiety monster said, no. If you do that, you're going to fail. You're going to fall back to being, failing. And I said, no. We can let go. We can still be successful on our own terms, but we can find that beautiful work-life balance that every single person deserves to have, the best that they can. You don't have to be bogged down by perfection. Be a high achiever. Go for what you want to go for, but you don't have to be perfect, and know when you can hit the wall and say, we're good. I was scared to do that, though. Again, opening up to people, being vulnerable. I'd been met with so much negative response to that growing up. I decided I'm going to do it. I typed the email, I hit send, and I waited for what was going to happen. It was a beautiful groundswell of public support from tutors, from the clients, from associates, from family, friends. It brought a tear to my eye of joy. It was like, this is amazing. I can still go on to coach other tutors. I can still go on to tutor other children because I love working with children. I want to see them excel. I can still do speaking, podcasting, etc. But I can still find that work-life balance and still have great time with family and friends and really recognize that it's okay. You are enough, and it is enough. So think for yourself today, what's one thing you want to let go of, big or small, to make your world a little better and help put your mind more at ease. So I want to reiterate again to all of you, 3 ways to help build an alliance with your anxiety monster. Number 1, embrace your anxiety monster's 6th sense. Number 2, develop your anxiety monster's Achilles heel, your self-esteem. And number 3, teach your anxiety monster to let go. I want to leave all of you with a quote from Dr. Maya Angelou. You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. Thank you all so much for being here. Remember, you're not alone, and you've got this. Thank you so much, everybody.